Hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install Apache Netbeans on Windows operating system and how to set up the C++ plugin for the Netbeans. That requires so that C++ plugin for Netbeans was for JDK 8. So you have to first download and install JDK 8. If you want to install JDK, just search adopt open JDK and go there and then select the open JDK 8, and you can either select the hotspot JVM and open 9. Hotspot is from Oracle, open J9 is from IBM. And then they have recently moved the website, so you want to select the open JDK hotspot and then click on this to go to the correct website. And then instead of downloading the latest release, which is LTS release, which is JDK 17, I'm going to select other platforms and versions. And here we're going to say that we want to download for Windows. We want to download the 64-bit version of the JVM and JDK, and we want to download 8. And then instead of just download the zip file, right? Instead of the MSI, which is a Microsoft installer, just download the zip file. I have only downloaded this, and then you can extract it from 7-zip or just from Windows built-in extractor and then extract here. And this has the JDK 8 and then has all the necessary files. So you select copy this directory, and then you go to your root drive of the Windows, program files, Java, and then paste that here. You need to have administrative privileges. So I've already copied this. So right now on my Windows, I have installed Graal VM 17, JDK 8, and JDK 17. All right. So back to downloads. Next, you're going to search for download Netbeans 13 and go to this page, which is now on the Apache website. And then you want to download the Apache Netbeans 13 binary Windows 64, right? So it's only available for 64-bit platforms, which is almost all the platforms these days. So you download this, you get this installer, and then right click, and then it starts preparing the installation. So we're going to wait for this to finish up preparation. All right. So it's going to open up this dialog window, and then it's going to install base ID, Java SE, Java IE, HTML5, PHP. We can customize that. I'm going to select everything as default and then next, and then we're going to accept the license agreement, and then we're going to install Netbeans 13 in the program files, and then JDK for the Apache Netbeans IDE. We can, for example, select I believe it doesn't, so let's keep it as JDK 17. Let's see what they say here. I think they say something about it requires, so the Apache Netbeans 13 binary releases require JDK 11 plus and officially support running on JDK 11 and JDK 17. So I'm going to select JDK 17 here as the JVM that Apache Netbeans IDE runs. So Netbeans IDE is built on Java, so it requires a JVM to run on that, right? It's more like a Java application. We don't want to check for updates. Let's go ahead and install. It's just going to extract all the files and put them in the installation directory, which is program files Netbeans 13. All right, so let's wait for this to finish, and then we're going to open it up and install or try to install the C++ plugin, which was developed for Netbeans 8, which had the support for JDK 8. So we're going to see that if we run into any problem or not. And if there is a problem for installing that C++ plugin, we're going to see how to fix it. All right, let's wait for this to finish. Basically, it's copying all the files. It created a shortcut on the desktop also, which we can quickly double click on it to run the Netbeans application. Almost done. And then completing Apache Netbeans IDE installation is just it's doing the validation of the files that it just unpacked, and then after that we're ready to go. Still running the validation. I'm running on a virtual machine, that's why it's running a little bit slower than usually, but almost done. Yes, installation completed successfully. Let's finish up. And then now let's go ahead and double click on this Apache NetBeans IDE 13 shortcut. So let's see what happens. So we are opening the NetBeans IDE for the first time, and this version 13 is pretty fast in terms of the startup time. That's because of the optimization that went into the JDK 17. All right, so we are here. So let's go full screen. Let's see what we're going to do. In the tools, we have the plugins. And then once we run this, it's going to initialize the list of plugins. Let's wait for this. And then in the settings, make sure that we have this NetBeans 8.2 plugin portal is activated, right? And note that most of the plugins that were developed for NetBeans 8.2 were developed based on the JDK 8. And we know that from JDK 8 to JDK 17, for example, some of the classes, packages were removed, deprecated, and are no longer supported. All right, so we select this and then available plugins. Right now, we don't see any C++ plugin. Let's select the check for newest. And it's going to also pull the plugins from NetBeans 8.2. And now you see that we have this C++ plugin, which says that C++ support, including editing, project, debugger. There is a basic support for Fortran and assembler. So we're going to select this and say install. And it's going to ask us to accept all the license agreements for all these modules of this plugin. Yes. And then it's going to download actually the modules that are part of this plugin. And then after it downloads them, it tries to unzip them or basically decompress them, because these plugins have some sort of jar compression. And then it has to decompress them, right? So let's wait for this to finish. So again, the key here is that you have to go to settings and enable the repository for NetBeans 8 plugins. It's because this C++ plugin was developed as part of basically NetBeans 8. And now we run into an error, and the error says that I'm trying to unpack or decompress the plugins, right? This NetBeans module needs unpack 200 to process the following entries. So unpack 200 is a compression scheme from JDK, which is related to the jar, and it was removed after JDK 8. I believe it was removed in JDK basically 11, so it's not available anymore. If I go back here in the program files to Java, if we look at JDK 8 in the bin, there is an executable binary called unpack 200, all right, which is part of the bin directory of the JDK 8. Now, if you look at JDK 17 bin, so basically, if you look at it, there is no unpack 200. So that command line tool was removed from the bin directory of the JDK, but it's still available in JDK 8. That's why I mentioned that in order to install this C++ plugin, you have to have the JDK 8, right? So it says that tell me where this command line tool unpack 200 is. So we're going to select that. Right now, it's already in. Right now, it was trying to find the JDK 11, 13, or 18 and find the unpack 200, but we're going to basically point it to the JDK 8 bin directory, and the unpack 200 is already here, right? So now it should be able to now it was able to unpack them. Everything is now correctly set up, and it says that you want to just confirm that you want to continue with installing these plugins. Some of them are signed and validated. All of them are self-signed, and then etc. So this is more like the authenticity of the plugins, and you just say continue. So note that if you didn't have JDK 8 and didn't have that unpack 200 command line tool that is part of the JDK 8 bin directory, you couldn't unpack these compressed files that are for this C++ plugin, and that would fail. That would result in a failure for installing the plugin, right? So you need that unpack 200 plugin, or basically that unpack 200 command line tool, the bind executable, to be able to install this C++ plugin, which is compatible with JDK 8. Now we will also see that actually in order, if you create a Java application and then try to build a Jni C++ application for that, then you still need to switch to JDK 8 to be able to use the full integration of the Java project and C++ project that this plugin supports. It says the NetBeans IDE installer has successfully installed the following plugin. Okay, finish. So everything is set up properly, and we're going to close this, and then we're going to open the NetBeans IDE again. And it's going to reading the module storage. All right, so let's wait for this to finish, and then what I'm going to do is create a Java project, and then a C++, a Java project that has a class that has a native method, and then we're going to see if we can use the C++ plugin inside the NetBeans to quickly set up a C++ project and then compile. Now, at the moment, I've installed the basically the Microsoft Visual Studio compiler. So let's see if we can use that. So I'm going to select a new project, and right now, as you can see, we have the option to create a C++ project. I'm going to select a Java with Ant, and then Java application. And for the first time, it's going to activate the Java SE plugin for the NetBeans IDE. So let's wait for it for a few seconds. So it's trying to find the feature, which means it's trying to locate the plugin that is responsible for creating and managing Java applications. So activating Java SE plugin. So let's wait for this. All right, almost done. Yes, and let's not create so it's going to create a project called Java, and it's going to put it in our documents, NetBeans project. Everything looks good, and building the project, creating new project. All right, everything looks good. I'm going to drag this files tab to the bottom, and in my project, so I have this Java application. We have empty package. Let's create a new Java package called test1. Finish. And then here or maybe let's rename it to test. So refactor, rename. Let's call this test instead of test1. Refactor. And then we're going to create a new Java class called test1. All right. So let's delete these documents, and let's also try to increase the font size. So let's see in the let's see, refactor, profile, theme, tools. Let's see if we have options here, and then in the font and color, we're going to say that instead of 13, we're going to go with 18. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to say public static native void say hi, right? And then public static void main. We're going to string args, and then test1 dot say hi. All right. So everything looks good. And first of all, basically, we want, instead of doing this first, let's just print something to the console so that we know that our Java build is fine, or the NetBeans can work with the JDK. So system.out.println hello from Java. All right. And we're going to basically comment this out. Let's save this. Let's build. So it's trying to build the Java application. It's clean. It cleans it up, and it also packages it as jar. Okay, and then let's run this. Yes, test. And then hello world from Java. Let's increase the font size of the settings of the terminal. Also switch to 18. All right, hello world from Java. So our JDK works fine, our Java. And if we want to see which JDK this project is using, we right click on the project, we go to the libraries, and right now it has JDK 17. Now I'm going to click on manage platforms, and I'm going to also click on Java SE and add the JDK 8. So program files, and then Java JDK 8. That's it, right? And it's automatically is going to why did it okay, I selected JDK 17, so let's go back. Let's go to the Java JDK 8, and now it's detecting JDK 8. Let's finish. And now both JDK 8 and 17 are configured, and this project is going to use JDK 17. I can switch between JDK 17 and 8. I will show you why I needed this. So now what we're going to do, the C++ plugin is installed, and this let's comment this out and go back and uncomment this call to the native method. So if we build this Java with JDK 17 and then run it, we're going to get the unsatisfied link error. That's correct, because we are calling the native method without having a C++ project associated with it. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click on this class and say to tools, and then mix the development, generate Jni Library project, which automatically uses that C++ plugin to generate a C++ project. And right now, as I click on this, you see there is a red bubble here saying that unexpected exception. It says that I couldn't find this Java API. That's because this API is removed in the JDK 17. So what we need to do, we need to right click on the Java project, go to the libraries, quickly switch to JDK 8. We're confirming that we're changing the platform, and note that it doesn't compile anything, or so right now the project is laid. We're just switching to this JDK 8 just to be able to use that C++ plugin and develop Jni application. So now that our platform has switched to JDK 8, we right click on the project, and then we right click on the Java source file, and then saying that tools, mix development, generate Jni library, and now this works, right? So cpp Jni library _1, and it says build host is not connected. So right now it couldn't find any tool chain. So as you can see, at the moment it cannot pick up on any default tool chain, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel this, go back, and then we search for download Mingw 64, and then the first link, and then you have options on how to install it. I'm going to use mysys or msys, and then we're going to go to installation on GitHub, and it has very straightforward installation. So you have to install this executable. So we're going to download this mysys2 x86-64, and then after the download finishes, we're going to run the executable file, and then it's going to open up this window. Next, and we're going to put it at our root directory, which is C drive, and then next we're going to add it to the start menu shortcuts, and then we can look at the details what it's installing. So installing component msys 64-bit base, and then and then at the end you can run msys2, and then update the package database. So and then we're going to use pacman-syu. It's going to update that, and then now mysys is ready for you. You will probably want to install some tools and Mingw 64. So you have to run this command, pacman-s needed base devel Mingw. So it's a very straightforward process I'm going to show you. So let's wait for this to finish installing the msys. That's the recommended way at this point to install Mingw on Windows. Use the msys2, which is very easy to use. So let's wait for this to finish up. Still running, almost done. All right, so I'm going to also copy this command here. Okay, run msys to 64-bit. All right, so we install this and it opens up a terminal very similar to bash terminal. So I'm going to increase the font size. Let's see, text, we're going to go to 16. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to install the use this command to install the Mingw. Hit enter. It's going to download the necessary files and puts them in the msys directory on your C drive. Let's see what happens here. So repository Mingw, and it's going to ask enter a selection. Default is all. Libs, let's go with all. Hit enter and it says you want to install all of these Mingw related files. We're going to say why, yes, and it's going to download for us all these, and it might take some time, but again, use the msys to install Mingw 64-bit on your Windows. It's very straightforward, and then it's going to download them and then install them and put them on the where you installed msys. So we installed it at the root directory here, m664 clang Mingw. It's going to download and puts all of the stuff here, right? So let's keep this window open. Almost done. So it downloaded the 64 packages, and then it's checking for the integrity of the packages, make sure that the files are all right. (17, 18, 21, 22). So I'm running on a virtual machine, so the installation is a little bit slower than if you run it on your actual computer, but it's going to finish relatively soon, and then we're going to see how to this Mingw compiler to compile our set it up in Apache Netbeans. So again, let's wait for this to finish up. Almost done. (60, 61, 62, 63, and 64). Okay, now it's going to install. The installation is relatively fast. Now it's installing the Mingw libraries. Installing the GCC, the compiler. And then also the Fortran compiler if you want to compile any Fortran files. Okay, now it's finished. I'm going to clear and then check whether the MinGW compiler has been installed. So let's see, do a lsc where we are. We are in the root directory and say cd, or let's say g++ hyphen hyphen version, and it's not going to find it because we have to close and open a mysys terminal again. So let's go to start, type msys, which is a terminal application, and then let's see, and then g++ hyphen hyphen version. Still cannot find it, which is very interesting. So apparently it didn't add it to the path environment variable. Let's go to our home directory, and then let's look at this bash rc, for example, file. So let's open up the terminal again, msys app, and then let's see if let's say echo java home. It doesn't pick up on that. All right. So we're going to source, for example, this file, and then echo java home, and now it finds it. And then let's check java home /bin/java hyphen hyphen version. All right, so we have to, I guess, put this whole thing into double quotes, and now it finds it. All right, so what we can do, we can go back to our home directory in the bash rc, and let's add the platform toolchain, export gcc home, for example, and then we're going to go to our main directory, root directory, and then msys64, and then so let's see. Oh, there is actually a terminal for MinGW 64-bit. Let's look at this one. I guess this automatically which g++, yes, so MinGW 64. So it's better to just run this instead of msys terminal. Then we don't need to really define this. So we have installed the g++ successfully using the msys repository, and then let's locate it. It's in the MinGW bin g++, which is in the msys, right? So if we go back here, let's close this. So in the msys 64-bit MinGW, and then in the bin, all the related MinGW, and you can actually add this to the path environment variable. So let's copy this, and then go, for example, to this PC, and then system properties, and then actually we're going to go to let's see, system properties, and then no, not the Windows security. We're going to advanced system settings, and then in the environment variables, we're going to basically select on the path, and we're going to edit it, and then we're going to add a new directory, which is, we'll just say that msys64 MinGW bin. All right. Now I believe if we just open up the regular command line and type g++, g++ hyphen hyphen version. All right. So now the compiler is set up correctly for our system, which is the MinGW compiler. You add this bin directory. All right. Now we run our Apache Netbeans IDE, And then what we're going to do, we're going to see now that the mingw bin directory is added to the path environment variable. I believe NetBeans ID should be able to open up on that, or basically automatically finds that. So we had this test1.java that had a basically native method, and we said that we had to switch to JDK 8 so that we could use the C++ plugin that comes with the NetBeans. And then let's go to window or tools options, and then C++ initializing tool collection. Let's see if we can find the tool collection. If we cannot automatically find it, then yeah, if we cannot find it now, as you can see, it automatically find the mingw bin directory because we added that to the path environment variable. So yes, so install the mingw using MC64, and then add the bin directory to the path environment variable of the Windows, and then NetBeans ID automatically picks up on that. So okay, everything is set up. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click on this Java class or Java source file that has the native method, and then tools, mix development, generate Jni Library, and then it has the default mingw, right? And then we're going to select the C++ 14 in standard. We're going to name the library as, you can name it anything you want, right? And then we hit finish, and it creates the library C++ project, creates the header file, all right, and then creates also a source file, and it's still working on this. Yes. And then if you later add more native methods, then let's copy this and then paste this again, and then say hi to me. All right, this is also a native method. You select the class, right click, mix development, generate Jni Header, and it asks you which and it automatically picks up on that there is already a header available for this class, and it just adds the signature of the second method also to it, right? So we're going to copy this and then put it in this source file. It automatically adds the header file test1.h, and here we're just going to say that the Jni environment pointer is JVM and J class is test1 underscore class, and we're just going to print something to the console. So include IO stream, and then std cout, std cout hello from C++, and then std endl, end line. Okay, now that we write this hello world basically to the standard output, we're going to compile, clean, and build our C++ project, and it's going to ask, it looks like it couldn't find the make command, right? So maybe the make was not installed with our mingw, so you can go back to the MC's terminal and then run this command, pacman-s, and then for the mingw install the make for the mingw64. So mingw-w64-x8664 make, right? So this is the command. When you want to remember, pacman is the package manager for the MCs, and you tell it to install this make, right? And I already did that. mingw make is up to date, reinstalling. And then if we go to our bin directory of the mingw, let's search for the mingw, let's search for this -w64 mingw, where it is. So let's see if we can search for this one. This one, mingw x8664 make. So let's paste this and search for it. It actually couldn't find it, so it looks like it's not inside this Mingw directory. So let's program files, or actually C drive, MCs. Let's see if we can search for this make. Search. So it's in the M664 var lib pacman. So let's go here, files, M3. Let's go back here and search for maybe it's in the Mingw 32. No. OPT. No. It's interesting that dev. Let's see where we can find make. Make package, user share, make dependencies, make file, make info. We have so here. No, let's go back. All right, so let's try to see where we can find this user bean. Let's see if it's in the user bean. Okay, make is in the user bean. So we're going to also add this to our path environment variable. Let's go back to the this PC and then system properties, and then advanced system settings, and then environment variables, path, edit, and then new, and then we're going to paste that so MC's user bean. Hit OK. Let's open up a terminal and say make hyphen version. Okay, GNU make. Now make is also ready for our NetBeans. So we go back here and search for path, and then basically or we can just give it the path that we just copied. It's in the MC's user bean, and then make, right? All right, let's paste these, and then / make.exe, and okay. Preparing to build on local host, no shell found, cannot please install either Cygwin or MCs. We installed the MCs, so we have to also add it to, I guess, to our path environment variable. So MCs, and then we're going to say that here tools, options, and then okay, no, we actually want to add this to the path environment variable. So the root directory of MCs, we're going to add them. So this PC, system properties, and then advanced system settings, environment variables, path, and then edit. So we're going to add a new one, paste, okay, and then let's move this up. So MC's user bean, MC's Mingw bean, MC's user bean. So the make command is in the user bean, the MC's shell is in the MC's, and then the C++ compilers are in the Mingw and then bean. All right, so everything okay. So if we open up a terminal and we just say MC's 64, MC's 2, and that, yeah, now it can open up the shell command. All right, so now our NetBeans ID should be good to go. Let's see if we can run this. So it says that please install either Cygwin or MCs. So let's close this and then rerun the NetBeans again. All right, so we want to install or use the background scanning of projects. So let's wait for this to finish, and then we try to compile this C++ application. All right, and then let's see if we can build it. And now it's able to find the MC64 bin user make. So first it runs the make, because Netbeans uses the make system, and it's in the MC64 user bin make. All right, and then it removes the files, and then what happens, it calls the G++, which is in the MCs, and then Mingw, and then after that it's finished. Now if we see that the build is successful, in the disk we have debug Mingw and lib C++ Jni Library DLL. All right, now we go back to our Java class, and now all we have to do, we have to tell it that system dot basically create a static initializer, a static system dot load library, and then in Windows we keep the lib at the beginning, cpp jni library _1. We only drop the extension, which is DLL. In Windows we keep the lib at the beginning, right? And we have to also make sure that if we right click and make sure that in the run the -d java.library.path is set, which is automatically set based on the C++ plugin enables that. Now if we build our Java application and then run it, it will going to work fine. So let's see, and then right now we're compiling with JDK 8 and it works fine. We can call this native method, and now after we develop and finish up our Jni development, we can switch back and search our platform to JDK 17 so that we compile now with JDK 17. So clean and build with JDK 17. All right, and now run with JDK 17. So it's background scanning, and it works fine because Jni is the same. But in order to make use that C++ plugin, we have to switch to a JDK 8 platform, right? So for example, if I add another right now I'm on JDK 17 platform, so if I copy this and then go back here and add another native method, say hi to me and goodbye, right? So it's there, and if I want to update the header file in my C++ project, I right click on my class, basically mix development, generate Jni header, and Netbeans gives me an exception, unexpected exception, because that API that the C++ plugin uses in Netbeans only works with JDK 8. So we have to switch back to platform to JDK 8. All right. And then now if I let's close this, and then if I right click and say mix development, generate Jni header, it has no problem and adds this method also. All right, and then we copy and paste this in the C++, and Jni environment pointer JVM, J class is test1 _ class, and then we type something to the console. Hello from C++, and now goodbye. And then we save, and then we clean our C++ project and compile build again. It first uses the make and uses the Mingw compiler and linker. Everything works fine. The dynamic library is updated. And then we go back here. We don't need to do anything. We just call that say hi to me and goodbye. We just call this, and it's going to call this, use that dynamic library, load it, and then print the result to the console. Now we can even switch back to the JDK 17 and build our Java application now with JDK 17, right? Clean and build, and then run. And hello from C++, hello from C++, and now goodbye. All right, the reason we need JDK 8 is for installing the C++ plugin in Netbeans and then being able to use it, because it only works with JDK 8. and the way you use it, you switch the platform of your Java application to JDK 8. But then once you develop your C++ and then compile and get the dynamic library, you can build again your Java application with JDK 17 and everything will work fine. Now I hope you have a good understanding on how to use the Netbeans IDE for Jni development. Unfortunately, with the recent versions of the Netbeans IDE and the fact that C++ plugin no longer works with the recent versions of the JDK, my recommendation is to use another IDE like Eclipse IDE, which is a much better solution at this point. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one.